How to spot a fake hustler from a real hustler, and are you really doing the work? So, I want to read you a quote from a famous philosopher named Aristotle. You may have heard of him. It has this famous quote where he says this: "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit." And I love that quote because it speaks directly to habits and how you are what you do and how that gets the success that you're looking for. It's not by hoping and wishing, but it's by doing, and it's the acts that you do day in and day out. I love the idea of getting 1% better with anything in life, and it's something that I actually have written on my mirror. By focusing on how do I become 1% better, I take a lot of pressure off of myself of having to obtain this massive skill set all in a short period of time. Even though it is possible, but it takes a lot of pressure off what actually and what happens when we actually do that, it actually encourages us to keep moving forward at a consistent pace. There's a great quote, another great quote, that says a steady drip of water can put a hole in a rock. Think about that. A steady drip of water can put a hole in a rock. And it's because it's steady, it's consistent, it's a habit, right? You don't need this big mountain of, or this big waterfall, or this high pressured, high intense action, if you will. You just simply have to be consistent. So I want to talk to you guys about how to spot the fake hustlers versus the real hustlers. And when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about you specifically, but you can also spot this within other people. And the purpose of this is I want to make sure that you're actually doing the work. And you're going to see that with some of the points I'm going to make. So as a therapist, I see a wide range of professionals and entrepreneurs. That's typically my demographic. But what's really different is to see the mindset between all of them, because I have some clients who are just simply go-getters. I can give them a task and they're going to come back, and sometimes even before we meet, they may email me and say, "Hey coach, here's the thing that you asked me for." And I'm like, "Ooh, man, you killing it. Great, appreciate it." And then I have some who forget, or they don't do the work, or they just simply come up with an excuse. And here's the thing, guys, and I don't want to be mean when I say this, I just want to be real. We do need people to cook burgers, to bag groceries, to wash cars, and to do all of these service things. And as I say that, I'm not saying that you have to stay in that role forever, because I think there is a revolving door, right? Like people are always coming up, right? Like the high school graduate who's working that McDonald's job or Chick-fil-A job because they're in school, right? Like we do need those people. I don't want that to be you for long periods of time. I don't want you to be stuck in that place. So that's why this podcast is strictly for you. I want you to be able to spot when you're doing the work so that you can keep doing the work. So the first point that I want to make is when people tell themselves that they're manifesting. And manifesting, I think, is cool. It's great. I'm not a big manifester. Like, I know what I want in life, and who knows, maybe that is a form of manifesting. But what's more important than manifesting is going out there and getting the things that you just manifested about. Manifesting, it gives you this feeling that you are doing work, putting it out in the universe saying, "Hey, I want to make large amounts of money. I have an abundance mindset. I have a skill set that people are willing to pay me tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, whatever it is." That is great. But there's two things I'm going to say to that. One of those being faith without works is what? It's dead, okay? And that's a Bible scripture. You can look that up. So please know that it's great that you manifest, but if you're not putting in work, it is gone. It is dead. It's not going to happen. And your goal is going to actually transform into a wish, a hope and a prayer, if you will, right? So that's one. The second thing I'll say about that is a quote that I heard from Drake in a song called Amen. And it's by him and Meek Mill. Probably came out back in like 2012, 2013. But he says that I'm the type of guy to say a prayer and then go get what I just prayed for. And that's what I'm trying to tell you guys with this first point. Please make sure that when you set that plan, you manifest, you put things out in the universe, you go out there and you do it. And the reason why people get caught up in manifesting is because it's safe. There's no risk to saying, "Hey, I want this, I want that," or writing down your goals, doing a vision board. There's no risk, right? Because you can have 100% success rate at that. And it's comfortable, but I need you to get uncomfortable. And by doing that, you'll start to get everything that you want in life. So that's point number one. Point number two, and I love this one, right? And you have to be on the lookout for this one, especially my high performers. You have to know the difference between learning and practicing. Learning is all about collecting the knowledge, reading it, and just simply knowing what to do. But the practicing is when you implement the knowledge that you just learned. And that's where the true power is. I see a lot of people who think that they're just one course away, one book away, one webinar away. And these things are great because I do take webinars, I do create courses and take courses, right? And read books. I do that stuff. But I'm also implementing them. And I implement them in my therapy sessions, my coaching sessions, in this podcast, in my personal life, like all facets, right? And that's really where the true strength for lies, right? You have to take action on the things that you're learning. If not, you will become an internal student, right? And what happens with that is that it gives you this feeling that you're doing something, that you're working. And it also creates this mindset that you're not ready, right? Because you're always trying to get ready. Trust me when I say, guys, you are ready. You just have to go out there and take an action. And when you fail, take a step back and look at objectively, what is it that I could have done better? And that's only assuming that you failed the first time. You may hit it out the park. You may have some success, right? But please know that that first step, if you take it and it's not ideal, you have a setback or you fail, bro, I've been there, right? And everybody that you look up to, they've been there as well. So again, I love telling people, don't treat yourself any differently. Believe me when I say you give a lot of grace to people that have failed, and it's time for you to give yourself that same grace. So know the difference between learning and practicing. So number 3, and I had to catch a client one day because they got caught up in this whole idea that they were working when really they were like fake working, or as I said, fake hustling. But know the difference between preparing and progressing. So preparing is when we're putting up all the things on our vision board, as I mentioned, but also we're putting things on the calendar. We're making plans. It's when you wake up in the morning, you create your top 10 things you need to do that day, or top 5 or top 3, and you write them down, but you don't make any progress to them. And something that I love doing with my clients, even with myself, is having us write down our goals for the day, and then at the end of the day, seeing how many of these goals were we actually able to check off. Now, when you look at that list at the end of the day, and let's say you don't see any, or let's say out of 5 things, you only got 1, ask yourself, what was it that happened that got in my way so I didn't complete everything that was on my list? By looking at that and asking yourself that question, you can then start to eliminate time wasters. These time wasters may come in the form of people, they may come in the form of certain tasks. Eliminate these so that you can be more productive and you can be absolute killing it when it comes to your goals for that day. So know the difference between preparing, right? So it's always, I'm getting ready, I got to get ready, right? And all this other stuff, it kind of goes with the idea again of reading, taking courses and all that other stuff. Like you eventually got to take action. And then know the difference between progressing. And the only way that you know that you're progressing is if you have a starting point. If you can locate where you are now and you can set up a goal for where that next destination is, it would help you to see whether or not you're progressing. You guys may not see this, especially if you're listening to audio, but if you're watching on YouTube, above my head, I have a list of goals. And by these goals, I have a list of measurements, right? Because I love SMART goals. So I have a list of measurements that I need to hit. And one of those measurements that I'm killing was when I said at the beginning of the year, I'm going to create 4 videos each month. And right now, I'm more so at like 10 to 15, and in some cases 20. And the reason why that helped is because I started off small. And when I got the mental muscle, the mental networks, right, running, when I got that in place, it was easy to upgrade to make that goal more intense. So you guys should be looking for consistency when you're progressing over intensity, all right? So again, the first one, people that are manifesting versus taking action. And then the second one, people that are preparing rather than progressing. Those are the fake hustlers versus the real hustlers. Oh, and also learning versus practicing. Cannot forget that. And last, this one, I love watching this within people, even within myself, because this is a great way to really hold people accountable and see what they're about. But I want you to notice the difference between what people are talking about, what they're going to do, and what they have done. People that talk about what they're going to do, they fall victim to what I call mental masturbation. That's right, mental masturbation. It's when you are talking about what you want, what you're going to do, what you're preparing to do, your thoughts and all that stuff, and it gives you that mental dopamine, right? It gives you that rush of, oh, I did it, I'm working, I'm progressing, but you haven't done nothing. You haven't even picked up a pen to start to lay out this framework that you're about to put down, right? That's all about mental masturbation. That's all about talking about what you're going to do, what you're thinking, your plans. But when you talk about what you have done, that is a great accountability piece, because you can literally see what I've completed within the time frame that I originally set this goal for. So for me, I just told you, I wasn't talking to you about, oh, I'm going to do 4 YouTube videos, 4 podcast videos. But I'm telling you, last month, I put out 20. That's right. I put out 20 podcast videos and YouTube podcasts, right? I put out 20. That is very fulfilling to me. And also it should show you that I'm serious about this. So don't fall victim to that. Ask yourself next time you're in a conversation, what have I done? And can I speak about these things? And then obviously we're going to set goals for the next set of things that you want to then talk about that you've done as well, not what you're going to do. So these are the things that you can use to spot a fake hustler versus a real hustler. As I mentioned, we do need people to cook burgers. I do need people at the Chick-fil-A line to take my order because I'm not getting out my car to do that. Like, we need these people. And I'm telling you that it doesn't have to be you. And if it is you currently, you don't have to be in that space for long periods of time. And that's just an example. I can say that with any part of business or your profession. Like, we need people at the bottom of the ladder. And I just don't want you to stay stuck there. So this is Coach Wells. I'm a therapist. If you like this podcast, definitely follow it, subscribe, like it. I would even challenge you, leave a comment and tell me what topics would you love for me to talk about. If you do that, that guarantees that I'm going to give an episode specifically for you. All right, guys. I'll see you later.